Welcome back, guys. Today we'll be looking at May June 2009 past paper question number 9, B to E. Alright, so in our previous video, guys, we looked at question 9A from 2009 May June. So let us get straight into B. Express 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 in the form a open bracket x plus h close bracket square plus k, where a, h, and k are real numbers. So guys, they want us to write the expression using completing the square. Alright, so let's get straight to it, guys. Step number 1 is to find the axis of symmetry. So that is step number 1. The axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. Alright, and based on what we're seeing, guys, b is negative 3. Formula already has a negative, so that's negative 3. Alright, or minus negative 3 over 2a. Alright, and a is 2. Alrighty, guys, so what we have there is 3 over 4. So x is equal to 3 over 4. That is our step number 1, guys, to find the axis of symmetry, or the value of x for which the minimum value occurs. Alright, so let's go ahead and find our step number 2. Step number 2, guys, is to substitute. So we're going to substitute x equals 3 over 4 into the expression, which is 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Alright, so again, guys, we are going to substitute the axis of symmetry into the expression so that we can get the value for k. Alright, so k is equal to 2 open bracket 3 over 4 close bracket square minus 3 open bracket 3 over 4 close bracket plus 1. Alright, and so what we are seeing there, guys, is that k is actually equal to negative 1 over 8. Alright, guys, and remember, k is our minimum value. So let's go ahead and put things into perspective. Our answer, ANS, alright, is where a is 2, so we're replacing the a with 2. Inside the bracket, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to take our 3 over 4 and we're going to transpose, we're going to carry it over to the side with the x, alright, and that is going to give us x minus 3 over 4. And the value of k, guys, the value of k is minus 1 over 8. Alright, so that is our value for k, minus 1 over 8. We're good? Alright, guys, so that is your first 3 marks right there. Question number 9, 2009 B. Alright, let's take a look at C. Now, C reads, using your answer from B above or otherwise calculate 1, the minimum value. Our minimum value is k, guys. Our minimum value is k, and that is where k is equal to negative 1 over 8. Alright, that is our answer there. K is equal to negative 1 over 8. Number 2, the value of x for which the minimum occurs. Guys, all they're asking you for is the axis of symmetry. Okay, the value of x for which the minimum value occurs, and that is where x is equal to 3 over 4. It's that simple, guys. Alright, remember, our axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. Alright, and so our b is negative 3 over 2 times a, which is 2, and so that is where you got the 3 over 4 from. Alright, that is where we got the 3 over 4 from. It's that simple, guys. And so you just earned yourself 2 additional marks. How cool is that? Let's take a look at D. All right. Now D asks us that we ask for us to sketch the graph of y equals 2x squared minus 3x plus 1, clearly showing 1. The coordinates of the minimum point, 2. The value of the y-intercept, and 3. The values of x for which the graph cut the x-axis. In other words, our x-intercepts. Okay? So our minimum point, guys, is where we have our axis of symmetry, and we already know our axis of symmetry is 3/4. And the minimum value is -1/8. All right. So guys, it's good practice to write these as decimals because obviously we're going to have to put them on the graph. They ask that we sketch it. All right. It really gives you a sense of where the points are going to be on the graph paper. All right. On the sketch. So guys, 3/4 is the same as 0.75. All right, and -1/8 is the same as -0.125. Right, -0.125. Good stuff. All right, now let us look for our y-intercept, guys. Our y-intercept is where the graph cut the y-axis, and that is pretty much just the constant in the equation. All right, so our constant in the equation is right here, guys, and that is where y is going to be 1. Okay, so that is where x is 0 and y is 1. Again, whenever the graph touches the y-axis, x is going to be 0, and so that is why we have 0 as our first coordinate there, and y is 1. Number 3, our x-intercept, guys. Already we wrote the equation in the completing the square form, so we're going to use that to solve for the values of x. Of course, you could also use factorization or the quadratic formula. All right, so let's go. So earlier we got 2 open bracket x minus 3/4 close bracket square minus 1/8. Now we're going to put it equal to 0 because we are solving for the values of x. All right, so our next step, guys, is to carry over the minimum value, which is the -1/8. So we're going to transpose that. So we have 2 open bracket x minus 3/4 close bracket square, that is equal to +1/8. All right, next thing we're going to do, guys, is we'll need to get rid of that 2 from in front of the bracket, so we're going to divide since we are multiplying there. All right, so we're going to divide, and that is going to cancel off our 2 there. Anything we do to one side, we must do it to the next. Keep the scale balanced. Yeah, good. And so what we have remaining, guys, is x minus 3/4 square, and that is equal to 1/16. Yeah, guys, keep, change, and flip. I am sure you guys are already familiar with how you actually solve fractions, so we're not going to go over that. All right, so 1/8/2 is the same as 1/16. Our next step, guys, is to get rid of the square. All right, the opposite of square is square root, so we're going to square root both sides of the equation. Plus or minus the square root. All right, cancel off that square there, and don't forget to put your plus or minus, guys. All right, so what we have remaining is x minus 3/4, and that is equal to plus or minus 1/4. Okay, and our next step, guys, to get that x value or the x values is to transpose the -3/4. So we have x is equal to plus or minus 1/4 plus 3/4. All right, now we're going to split it up, guys. We're going to split the equation there so we can get our 2 x-intercepts. So that is x is equal to positive 1 over 4 plus 3 over 4. That gives us 4 over 4, which is equal to 1. So that is our first x coordinate. Right? So let's go ahead and get the other one. X is equal to negative 1 over 4 plus 3 over 4. And that is equal to 2 over 4, which is equal to 1 over 2. Alright guys, so we have our two x intercepts. That is where x is 1 and y is 0. And also where x is a half and y is 0. Remember, when the graph cut the x-axis, guys, the value of y will be 0. When the graph cuts the y-axis, the value of x will be 0. Alright? So our next step, guys, given that we have all the information that we need, is to go ahead and sketch our graph. Alright? So let's go ahead and sketch our graph. Really simple, guys, nothing too difficult. Alright, remember it's a sketch, and so you're going to be estimating these points. Alright, here we go. So our first point is going to be our minimum point, and that is where x is 0.75 or 3/4. So let's go ahead and put on our figures there. That is where x is 1. Alright, so we're estimating that x is going to be 3/4 about here. 3/4, yeah. 3/4. And x is negative 1/8 on the y-axis about here. Negative 1/8. Alright, so let's see where these two lines are going to intersect. It's going to be about here, guys. So that is going to be our lowest point on the graph. Alright, so now that we have the lowest point on our graph, which is the minimum point, let's go ahead and plot our point for the y-intercept. That is where x is 0 and y is 1. Alright, so that is where y is 1. So the graph is going to cut the y-axis just about right there. Alright, so our next step, guys, is to add to that graph our x-intercepts. And that is where x is 1 and y is 0. So that's our first point right there. Alright. And our second x-intercept is where x is a half and y is 0. So that's about there already. So that's a half right there. Good. And so all we have to do now, guys, is to take our pencil and try to get as smooth as possible of a graph, as smooth as you possibly can. Alright, very good, guys. Get that graph as smooth as you possibly can. Yeah, guys, so you don't want to mess your graph up. Remember, it's a continuous curve, so you want to get it as smooth as possible. Our next step, guys, is to just label the points that CXC asked us to clearly show. Our first one there is our y-intercept, so let's go ahead and label that y-intercept. Alright, our x-intercept, our minimum point, and we have our x-intercept. Alright, guys, and that is pretty much it. That is pretty much it, guys. Now we have another question, which is E, but E relies on the information coming from A in our previous video. So what I want you guys to do is to check out our previous video and add that straight line to our curve. Alright, I want you to be able to plot that straight line on our curve, alright, our quadratic curve, and see where it intersects the quadratic curve. Yeah, guys, so that is pretty much it. CXC May June 2009, question number 9, just made easy. Yes, sir.